Welcome back to Between the Vines. We are your hosts, Todd and Trey. First off, let's set the setting. Trey, where are we?
Oh, we're at Stargazers Winery here in PA.
So it's a little confusing on the way here. You're coming in, you're going down all these windy roads. You're like, oh yes, perfect. It's going to be the beautiful Vineyard estate, blah, 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 right? And then as you turn on the road that it's on and you see a bunch of houses and you're like, wait a minute. Just trust it, keep going. End of the neighborhood, there's this beautiful sprawling estate.
Yeah.
It's really nice out here.
Yeah, I love it.
Confusing on the way.
Yeah, yeah.
After a difficult loss this last weekend.
You know what? We have one thing that we can celebrate from this game.
Yeah, we got some positives.
Yeah, we have something that we can celebrate from this game, and it's worth raising a glass to our first taste, which is,
I believe this is the Vermentino is what we're starting with. Yeah, Vermentino, it's an Italian grape. It's light, it's citrusy, it's served chilled. Smells good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but
before we sip, we have to tell them why we're cheersing.
Oh
right?
man, we're cheersing. We're cheersing because one of our brethren broke one of our old brethren's record.
Yep.
You know, Jason Kelsey, man, 145 consecutive games.
That's just so impressive to do.
That is ridiculous.
Especially in the center of everything. I mean, that's impressive at any position.
Yeah.
At center, you're taking live bullets from everywhere. And you just, there's probably a little bit of instinct that comes into that, being healthy for that long. Also, you know, the will and the want. And I'm sure he's gotten banged up and had to play through a lot of stuff for that. But, man, it's wild in there in the middle.
145 consecutive games. Kelsey, cheers,
Jason.
man. Yeah.
It is dry. More citrusy rather than like berryish.
Yeah, I agree. It's not. Yeah, and it has a little bite to it at the end, kind of like acidity. You know, it's definitely something that's a little drier.
Oh, also there was more history made this weekend.
Yeah.
On the bad side of history, though.
Okay.
You know, it's the first time that we ever in franchise history lost to the Jets, right?
Yes. Yes.
I can truthfully say I never lost to the Jets.
I've never lost to the Jets either.
For as long and as history as these franchises are, for it to never have gone the way that it just went is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is.
It just makes you feel like it was bound to happen.
Yeah,
right? It's bound to happen.
But it wasn't supposed to happen this game.
No, it definitely wasn't.
It wasn't supposed to happen this game. You know, it wasn't supposed to happen this game. Like, all right, you know what? Their two starting corners are out. You know what? This is going to be a game where A.J. Brown and Smith are just going to go out there and just have their way with this defense. And that was not the case. I mean, you go out there, you start the game the night before the game where A.J. Brown sends out the tweet, you know, he's going at sauce about him not playing or whatever. And then it just felt like when they went into that stadium and started this game, that the energy just wasn't there from our side. It seemed like we just felt like, all right, you know what? We're going to just go and roll over this team. But when you look over there on the Jets sideline and when they were making plays, man, they were fired up and ready to go.
Huge loss in this game. You know, when Lane went down with his ankle, you know, the team's record with Lane on the field is just preposterous. You know, their winning percentage with Lane actually on the field is something like above 80% or something like that. It might even be in the 90s. And now we had Driscoll come out and take Lane's place. Jack went out there and he struggled. It's an away game. You're on a silent count, hostile territory. You don't have the game in hand. It's a battle out there. So if you have any type of weaknesses, it's going to be exposed.
One of the technical flaws that I feel like Jack Driscoll has is he targets with his outside hand. And where he kind of, you know, he puts his outside hand, it kind of helps him. I've seen it taught where guys are said, where you use it to kind of try to stay square. Where the problem with that is if you throw that outside hand out there, and if it's not wide enough and you have a defensive end that's going to clean it, then there you go. That causes a problem, man. He cleaned that outside hand, boom, and then there you go, a sack. And then you get him later on in the game where you run him upfield, then take him back inside. He's fighting for his life. He might be halfway laid off the ball. You get the defensive end, you running him upfield, and then now he jumps back inside on you. Then now that's the tip ball that gets to that causes an interception. So I think that Jack, he just had a, you know, that was a very tough showing.
It was just a tough outing. It was a tough outing for the whole line. You know, they didn't play their best game this week.
That second, third down play in the first drive, you know, where everybody has this play where everybody's, oh my God, and you know, Hurts is insane for this play. He's a superhero where he has the nickel cornerback, you know, hanging off of him, and he throws the pass to A.J. Brown. Well, when you go back and you look at that play, it was a slide protection to the right, and it should have been picked up. But you didn't pick it up correctly. Lane didn't bounce out to the nickel. Kelsey did what he was supposed to do. Yeah. He looked out there, saw the cap safety to the right, so he made a 4-man slide to the right. You know, it's just that Lane got caught up in the little game, and he should have kept sliding to take care of the nickel, and this would have been picked up. It would have been a clean pocket. But I think that when you started seeing how the offensive line all together started breaking down, you had Hurts just feeling skittish in the pocket a lot of times, and that caused a problem.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's get us a taste in, man.
Yeah, so, you know, as I'm sure Jalen Hurts is feeling right now without his protector, Lane Johnson, out there, we got ourselves a naked Chardonnay.
Oh, yeah.
Also known as an unoaked Chardonnay. That means that it was just created in the stainless steel.
This one's a little bit more fruitier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell, you know, it's kind of cool to be able to do the unoaked Chardonnay right now, because you can tell what an actual oak barrel brings to a wine. It's a lot cleaner to me. I like that.
Yeah.
I take this one over the Vermentino, I think.
Yeah, I like this the Naked Chardonnay, Solar Celebration. Really nice wine.
All right, well, we can go on to talk about A.J. Brown. Well, I mean, we were talking about him already a little bit, but let's talk about his play. He still keeps getting open, finding holes in the defense, you know, making big plays. It seems like he has a super impressive catch almost every game. You saw the one over his shoulder while he was going out of bounds. That was just such an impressive display of focus and concentration on that. But there was a couple hiccups. You know, not everybody had their best game. We saw, you know, where Hurts overthrew him on that deep ball, and it looked like he slowed up and thought maybe the play was over or it wasn't going to go to him. You know, I don't know what receivers do, but I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was trying to create separation by slowing down on the defender, maybe.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like, no.
No?
I mean, I'm sure he appreciates that. No, but no.
I got you, dog.
Yeah, yeah, you got his back. Yeah, no. He thought the ball was going somewhere else. So he was like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to kind of cool out right here. Oh, no, the ball is, oh, damn. My bad. Yeah. And, you know, so, all right, hey, this is all stuff that we can learn from and just move on.
Yeah.
You know? There
was, you know, a drop Devontae had where he was wide open across the middle of the field. You know, it looked like an easy catch and run for him. Maybe it wasn't a perfectly thrown ball, but it seemed like it was pretty on the money. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, but in a close game like that, you're hoping your superstars and the guys that you're relying on, that's a no-brainer catch right there. All right, Hurts didn't play his greatest game.
No.
He had 3 interceptions. 2 of them were tipped up. Another one, you know, a D lineman intercepted a deflected ball, which is very unusual, happenstance type of thing. But to me, it just seemed off, like the whole game. He just seemed very apprehensive once he got out into the open, which maybe he's hurt a little bit from, you know, some of the hits he's taken in the past couple of weeks and stuff. And he's starting to think a little differently about how he's running, or he's just trying to get as much as he can and get down. But man, I don't think it's benefiting his running style to run with caution like that.
I think he was harassed a lot this game. I think that when you have to get out of the pocket a lot and you have to make these scrambles and you have to do all of this phenomenal stuff to get out of there and you're escaping rushes and you don't feel comfortable in the pocket. And, you know, anytime you have a quarterback that's skittish, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
And when you look at that third interception that he threw, I felt like he was, you know, he felt a little bit of the pressure, got a little skittish, threw the ball on his back foot, boom, there you go, interception.
Yeah, looking for Hurts to improve. He's a pretty self-motivated guy. I think he knows his mistakes and his flaws, and he'll probably go over this, you know, stuff with a fine-tooth comb and look for a big comeback this week. Anyway, you may have noticed something in our intro. We have a presenting sponsor, that is Life Brand. Here's a little commercial to let you know what they do.
Let's face it, we've all posted things we regret. That's why we created LifeBrand. LifeBrand connects all of your social media accounts and then scans them for potentially compromising posts. With just a few clicks, you can delete old, potentially harmful social media posts so they're gone for good. It's fast, easy, and protects your privacy. Stay in control of your online reputation. Visit lifebrand.life today.
All right, moving on. We got so we just did an unoaked Chardonnay. Now we're tasting an oaked Chardonnay. Pretty excited. I've never done the comparison back to back like this before.
Yeah, I like this. And then this is a French oak, you know, so this is their Chardonnay Reserve.
The unoaked was a little more refreshing, you know, and this is a little more like mature tasting.
Yeah,
It says here on the back of the bottle, notes of honey and clover and vanilla creaminess. I guess that would all come from the oak.
Oh yeah. So that's what
Toasted coconut.
Yeah, you're definitely picking up some of the honey in there. I like the Chardonnay Reserve. I tell you what, man, so far Stargazers has been good. I'm enjoying it. I mean,
nice.
really enjoying
Beautiful day
it.
for it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every day has been beautiful for us. You know?
That's because this was a good idea.
Yeah, it was an amazing
God
idea.
smiles on good ideas.
Yes, exactly.
As you can see, we're drinking out of a flask, beaker, whatever you want to call it, something out of the chemistry lab.
What we have here is a
It's a tank pull. They pulled a little bit out of the stainless steel tank. They haven't put it into barrels yet, right? But what type of wine is it?
it's a Cab Franc.
Yeah.
So right now it's at the beginning phase. You know, it still hasn't been put in, like you said, in the barrels yet to age.
You know what? It's got a higher acidity, it feels like.
Yeah, well, I think that's because the newness of it, because it's such a young wine, it hasn't been aged yet. Calm it down to get the acidity out of it, but I do like the fruitfulness of it.
It is good.
Yeah.
All right.
So we needed that taste.
Yeah, we needed that taste.
We needed that taste because
The one thing we could believe in on this squad.
Jake Elliott, Mighty Leg Jake, whatever you want to call him.
Well, we can't call him Mighty Leg right now.
You can't call him Mighty Leg. I mean, he just missed it to the right.
Yeah,
It was wide right. When he pushed that one off to the, I'm like, well, damn, you know.
I know.
Yeah, I mean.
When they lined up for it, I was like, all right, good. At least here's three.
Yeah, at least we get three out of this.
What?
Whoa.
Wait, something's wrong today.
Yeah, it's all off. I mean, it's all off,
today.
you know.
We said the energy was off.
Yeah, somebody stepped on a crack. You know, somebody broke a mirror. Something happened.
You know, everybody has their downfalls or their bad days, and we're just going to write this off as a bad day for anyone that was scoring points for the Eagles. Yeah. Kickers, offense.
Kickers involved. All I'm saying is David Akers would have made that.
It's possible. It's possible. Well, we've been blessed, dude. We've had great kickers.
We've had great kickers. You know what, dude? Like that's amazing.
It's something fans can overlook.
Yeah, you know, you've been spoiled. I mean, you've had really good kickers throughout the years with Akers, and then now Jake Elliott, the way he is, man. I mean, you know, there you go.
I know that Jake will just, put in the time, not let it happen again. Focus in.
Yeah, go do his kicker stuff. You know,
you know what they do.
Like whatever kickers do. You know, they play their little
video
kicker games
or so you can roll the ball closest to the
to
cone,
the line. And they got little fun games that they do, or else they get on the side of the goalpost and they kick the ball and try to hit the goalpost. I mean, you know.
I think Dornbos called that passing time.
Yes, that's
waiting for practice to get over. We're not giving a fair shake to the kickers right now.
No, not at all.
They work hard.
Yeah, they do.
But they do have a lot
for
of downtime.
For like 10, 15 minutes.
They have a lot of downtime.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our next one.
Next wine.
Yeah.
We got a Petit Verdot here.
Petit Verdot.
Oh, that smells good. Sounds like that's up in my wheelhouse right there. Let's see what we're dealing with here. It says dense tannins because the wine's been polished with oak from second fill barrels.
Okay. So when you're dealing with a second fill barrel, that's when you're using just another barrel that's already been.
And I imagine that you've already used it once for a round of wine.
Yeah, so it brings some of those other flavors into it as well.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at it, it's a medium to full-bodied wine. But I like the flavors that you're picking up on it. It's not a heavy red wine again. I feel like it's like a really nice dinner wine, like you said.
I could drink this with dinner all the time. It's really good. It says that there's black fruit, spice, and pepper, which I think sums it up pretty accurately. It is a drier wine, which brings us to our wine word of the day. Our wine word of the day is brought to you by Birds Nesting, a real estate and lifestyle service for professional athletes, coaches, and their family. Let Birds Nesting assist you in finding the perfect place to live, help settle your family into a new community with our connections and trusted recommendations. Please go to birdsnestingphl.com for more information. Birds Nesting for an easy landing. And so our wine word of the day today is dry. And what I learned that dry means is that it has no residual sugars in the wine. As the sugars turn to alcohol, that the sugars, the residual sugars that aren't there, they all turn to alcohol, so there's no residual sugars to make it sweet. But you can stop that fermentation process early by changing the temperature or something like that to stop and leaves a little bit of residual sugar in it, and then you get a little sweeter tasting wine.
Oh, I like that.
So,
All right, cool.
dry.
Dry.
On to defense, right?
Moving on to the defense.
What's the other side of the ball? The positives from the game, because I
Very
thought the
positive.
defense played outstanding.
I think that the defense came in here hungry. They were ready to hunt. As the game was going on, I'm like, hold on, you can tell that you were really missing Carter a little bit up the middle.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until when you got the one sack between BG and Jordan where I was kind of like, man, I'm really missing Carter. I was about to say something, but then all of a sudden you put BG out there over the nose, and then they run a game, and BG again
Sits the guard down.
destroys the right guard. I
Have a
mean,
seat, sir.
absolutely destroys the right guard. And then you got Big Jordan coming up in there, man. And I mean, dude, when you got somebody 300 and something odd pounds,
Let's say north 350, right?
oh man, easy.
Yeah.
Landing on you, man, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, great to see from the defense. Just the energy they came with, unshook by the falters that the offense was having and stuff like that throughout the game. They stayed steady. They even gave us a chance, hung us in there, gave us a chance to win toward the end before, that last interception.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick continues to just hunt, man. You got a
more.
And you know what, man? When you go back and you look at how Hassan Reddick rushes, he doesn't waste any time. I mean, he is getting there where it's more of that one-hand style, clean the outside hand, and he's getting low and he's been in the corner.
Yeah.
It's not one of those rushes where he rushes and runs all the way around you and come back. When he cuts the corner, he's cutting the corner, man, and I mean, he's getting in there at a very sharp angle. And then you go back and you look at the sack that Sweat had. And when you go back and you look at that sack, I always felt like when you have defensive ends, you should layer them. Where you have one guy that's going to run high, and then you have the other one that's going to make an inside move and come low.
Yep.
And that's what you saw with the Sweat rush. The offensive tackle helped him out by jumping outside, and Sweat just took him inside, and it created a natural layered rush because you had Hassan Reddick going over the top, but then you got Sweat coming right down underneath, and then there you go. There's a sack.
What do you think of the secondary?
I thought the secondary came to play. I mean, now, man, they had an animal over there. The receiver, man, I mean, he was no joke. But, I mean, I thought our secondary came in. They stepped into play. You hate to see Blankenship go down, and then more injuries continue to pile up in this game. But, it was just tough. But I thought that our defense overall, I thought that they came and answered the challenge.
Yes, sir. I agree with you.
Let's go on to our next one. All right, so this is Stellar, our red blend.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a blend of 5 wines.
Oh.
Syrah, Merlot, Cab Sauvignon, Cab Franc, and Aglianico.
Okay.
Italian grape.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's dry. Wine word of the day.
Mm-hmm. This is a lighter version of a red, and I really enjoy this style red. And now that we talked about the defensive line, we talked about Jake Elliott, we talked about the defensive line, we've gone through our red brands. So let's take another break, man. Let's go ahead and, hear from Pinot's Palate real quick.
So what's the perfect night out? Any night spent at Pinot's Palate. Pinot's Palate. Paint, drink, have fun. Sign up online for your class today.
All right, so we are joined here with Michael Vorauer, who is the co-owner and winemaker here at Stargazers Vineyards. And first off, let's start out. Well, great job with all the wine.
Hey,
Yes.
thank you.
We tasted a lot
Absolutely.
today.
I enjoyed the wine.
Yeah,
Delicious.
yes.
Why don't you tell us how you got started here? And you said you've been making wine for about 30 years?
About 35 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
my grandparents had a winery, so the family tradition goes back a long way. My grandparents had a winery in Fredericksburg, Texas, and it always inspired me. When I growing up around that field, being around the farm, being around the grapevines,
Yeah.
just an inspiration. So anyway, yeah. So the winery was maintained. There was only 2 wineries in the state of Texas after Prohibition, and my grandparents was one of them.
Oh, wow,
Okay.
that's awesome. Awesome.
Wow.
Great
So
history
that's where
there.
my inspiration really comes from. Knowing that the winery survived, the Prohibition, it was really great.
Is that winery still operating today?
It is not. I kind of
Ah.
wished it was. And I think the guy upstairs had better plans for me to be up here in Pennsylvania making wine. I just really
Exactly,
enjoy
yeah.
the area. It reminds me so much of Germany, southern Germany and Austria, the hillsides. I lived in Germany for a couple of years.
Oh, cool.
Worked at a winery on the Rhine River, so that really kind of helped me inspire me more of the European style of winemaking. What really goes on, what's kind of behind the scenes, and I kind of maintain that in my winemaking technique now. I'm a minimalist, if you will. I don't like to do a lot of different things to the wines.
Okay.
I like to let the process take its own course.
So how long have you guys been on this particular property?
So we purchased the winery in 2020.
Okay.
We actually moved onto the property in February of 2019
Okay.
and started maintaining the vineyard, started taking over the wine cellar. The previous owner who had this, he and his wife did a wonderful job planting the vines, finding the site location first off, because we have a southern exposure, which is really excellent for growing grapevines. And so John and his wife Alice started this back in the late 70s. They built the winery in 1996. And so, they both, as they grew old, it's like, hey, I got overwhelmed. I can't do this anymore. So he said, it's time for me to move on and let someone else take over. And he basically had the winery up for sale. And had we not bought it at the end of 2019, I suspect that it probably would have gone onto the auction block.
While we were doing the tasting, I saw something that popped a question in my head that would be perfect to ask you. Double barrel aging or second use barrel? What does that exactly mean?
Second use, so the barrels, so I do have a couple of new barrels. They are French oak barrels. I'm a French oak person. I like what French oak does to the wine. It's very easy, very nice and soft. But I have a brand new barrel that I used, that I bought last year, that the Chardonnay was fermented and aged in for about 6 months worth of aging. So the fermentation occurred about maybe 2 weeks in there. Then I just let that wine sit in the barrel, okay, for the full 6 months. And then the other part of the wine was fermented in a stainless steel tank. So that reserve wine doesn't have 100% new oak in it. If I did allow that, there would be so much oak flavor in the wine, it would cover up the flavors in the taste.
I see what you're saying.
So the second aging, if you will, is that, so I did take that wine out of the barrel and I did clarify it and I put it back into the barrel for another 3 months.
Wow.
Aging. Okay, and the reason I did that is because I want to keep that barrel nice and tight by keeping fluid in it. And so when I emptied that barrel out, it was almost time for our next Chardonnay to go into the barrel.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, and so that's how we keep the barrel. I want to keep a wine in there all the time to keep the barrel hydrated so it stays tight, so it doesn't leak. And so that's where the second use barrel comes in. So a barrel has about a 7-year average lifetime before it stops giving the flavor of oak into
Are you
the wine.
consistently using the same barrel for the same wines? Or do you cross barrel?
I do some cross barreling or mixing of the barrels because it does add a lot of complexity. So barrel making is almost as complex as winemaking.
Wow.
So all the wood that comes from the barrels are all a specific type of genus oak, Quercus oak. I don't know what the species are off the top of my head, but they have, just like we all have, certain genomes, right?
Yeah.
So in Mother Nature, all the plant kingdom has specific. They have Quercus, whatever. Okay, so the white oak is what's used in France. What makes it different is the elevations that the oak trees grow in and the different environments that the oak trees grow in. So it would be like growing an oak tree here in Pennsylvania versus growing an oak tree, let's say in the mountains of Denver, Colorado, versus the hot deserts of, if you can grow an oak tree in the desert, it creates different flavor profiles. The trees grow differently. So the more stressed the oak tree is, the tighter the grain is. It doesn't grow very much because there's not a lot of water. In areas where there's a high water content, the oak barrels grow faster, so the pores are more open. And when the French have discovered the same oak tree in these different environments, they would build a barrel, then they would toast it over a fire. So you can get a medium toast or a light toast or a heavy toast.
Yeah.
And that also impacts the flavor of the wine.
So what's your favorite type of wine to make?
I've really grown into red wines. I started with white wines and really kind of professionalized, really got the feeling of what it was like to get these white wines to be very balanced. And then I was really afraid of red wine making in my early career. There's a lot of things that go on with red wines. It's like, they're just like the white wines, but they just have color, you know.
Yeah.
So the color comes from the skin of the grape. As we ferment the grapes on the skins, that's where the extraction of color comes from. And there's a lot more variables that can happen in red wine making, and it makes it a lot more fun. There's more challenges in red wine making.
Okay.
I love a good challenge.
That's awesome.
What are we about to drink here? We've
So-
been trying to give our description on all your wines so far, so let's hear it from the actual maker.
Oh, all right, so this is our Tinto. This is a blend of 2 hybrid grapevines.
Okay.
We have the Cabernet Cubain right behind us here. The Cabernet Dorsa, in lieu of Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet
Okay.
and Dornfelder, are called Cabernet Dorsa, is up in the middle part of the vineyard, the north end of the vineyard. And so it's about a 60-40 blend, 60% being the Cabernet Cubain right behind us here. And this wine is made in a port style. So we basically harvested the grapes, crushed them, we have them in the bin, and we're doing the pushovers to extract the colors. And then to stop the fermentation, I added some brandy.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
great brandy.
So
And
that actually also stops the fermentation.
it does,
right there.
yes.
Is it
So the
because of
process-
the alcohol level?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So the alcohol level, what happens is the fermentation occurs when the yeasts eat the sugar and they convert it into alcohol and carbon dioxide. And when the alcohol reaches its limit and the sugar runs out, the yeast cells basically die off.
Yeah.
And if we add alcohol to a fermenting wine, there are residual sugars left, but then the alcohol kills
Kills the yeast.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, and so
Yeah,
by
makes
nature, that's how port is typically made traditionally in
Okay.
Portugal and France. Get that
Nice.
nuance,
Yeah.
the sweetness
yeah.
there.
Yeah, there is some
It
sweetness
doesn't
there.
have that heavy body that most ports do.
Yeah.
But
right.
I like this as what if you could ever call it a port light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Beer,
exactly
yeah,
what
light
it
beer.
is.
This is a port light,
Yeah,
if you will,
that is
so-
a great description of
Right.
like a port light because it does
Yeah.
have that port taste to it, but it's not as heavy.
Yeah,
It's not as
exactly.
Yeah,
heavy.
it's a beautiful wine.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that.
delicious. Well, I appreciate you having us out and
Yeah.
answering our questions and letting us taste your beautiful wines.
Absolutely. A joy to have you both out
All
here.
right, thanks
Yeah.
for having
Really
us. This
wonderful,
was
yeah.
really awesome.
Find yourself out in the Coatesville area. Stop by Stargazers. Great wines, great view, great people. All right, that wraps up this week's episode of Between the Vines out here at Stargazers. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm still just so happy about this idea you had, dude. Every week we just get to go to a vineyard and
It's
drink
awesome,
wine.
man.
Yeah,
It
it's
just go
great.
sit around, have, enjoy these beautiful wineries that's right here in New Jersey and PA, man.
Yeah, which is a secret to a lot of people. I don't
Yeah.
think that everybody knows this is all out here.
Yeah, so
yeah.
it gives us a good chance, opportunity to highlight some of these other areas.
And
I really
educate the
enjoy
public.
Yeah, and educate the public and talk a little football, man.
100%.
Yeah, man.
100%.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, Trey.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.